Captain Do-hyun Lee stood in front of the large window on the space station. Earth looked beautiful from up here, a blue and green ball floating in space. He touched the cold glass with his hand, wondering if this would be the last time he would see his home planet. The door behind him opened with a soft hiss. His friend and fellow officer, Sun Mi Kim, walked in. Her face was filled with worry. "The Galactic Council is ready to see you now," she said quietly. Do-hyun turned away from the window and straightened his blue Earth Force uniform. "Then we shouldn't keep them waiting." They walked through long, curved hallways. The walls were made of a strange metal that seemed to glow from within. Aliens of different shapes and sizes passed them. Some looked almost human, while others had multiple arms or eyes. A few floated in the air like jellyfish. The council chamber was huge. 12 tall seats rose up in a circle, each one holding an alien leader. In the center was High Counselor X-417, who looked like a tall, gray figure with 4 arms and silver eyes. Captain Do-hyun Lee of Earth, X-417's voice boomed through the chamber. "Your planet wishes to join the galactic community. But first, you must prove Earth's worth." Do-hyun stood straight and looked up at them. "Earth is ready to prove itself. We have achieved faster than light travel. We have cured many diseases. We have—" "Yes, yes," X-417 interrupted. "Your technological progress is concerning. It is too fast, too dangerous. We need a different kind of proof." The room grew colder. Sun Mi stepped forward, but Do-hyun held up his hand to stop her. "What kind of proof do you want?" he asked. "A sacrifice," said X-417. "One human must go to planet NK-989. If they survive and return, Earth will be welcomed into the galactic community." Whispers filled the chamber. Sun Mi grabbed Do-hyun's arm. "NK-989. That's the death world. No one has ever returned from there." Do-hyun knew about NK-989. Everyone in Earth Force did. It was a planet where the Council sent people to die. The atmosphere was poisonous. The temperatures switched between burning hot and freezing cold. Strange and deadly creatures lived there. Some said the planet itself was alive and hungry. "And if we refuse?" Do-hyun asked. X-417's silver eyes gleamed. "Then Earth will be considered too primitive to join us. No trade, no protection, no sharing of knowledge. You will be alone in a very dangerous galaxy." Do-hyun thought about Earth, about his family and soul, about the millions of people who didn't even know this meeting was happening. If Earth stayed alone, other alien races might attack them. They needed the Council's protection. "I volunteer," Do-hyun said clearly. "No," Sun Mi shouted. "You can't." "I volunteer to go to NK-989, Do-hyun repeated. "But I want one thing in return." X-417 leaned forward. "You are not in a position to make demands, human. If I don't return within 1 Earth year, you must promise to protect Earth anyway. My life for Earth's safety. That's the deal." The council members looked at each other. Some nodded. Others made strange sounds that might have been laughs. "Agreed," said X-417. "You will leave tomorrow. You may take a basic survival suit and 3 days of supplies. Nothing more." As Do-hyun left the chamber with Sun Mi, he heard the aliens talking. They thought he would die like all the others. But they didn't know humans very well. They didn't know how stubborn humans could be. "You're crazy," Sun Mi said as they walked back. "Nobody survives NK-989. Do-hyun smiled. "Then I'll have to be the first one who does." He looked out at the stars through a passing window. Somewhere out there was a planet that was supposed to kill him. But he had a feeling that both he and the Council were in for a big surprise. The transport ship dropped Do-hyun through NK-989's thick purple clouds. His survival pod shook so hard that his teeth rattled. The pod's computer showed the outside temperature, 40 degrees Celsius and rising. Landing in 5 minutes, the computer said in its flat voice. Warning. Toxic atmosphere detected. Warning. Dangerous life forms detected. Warning. Extreme weather conditions ahead. Do-hyun checked his survival suit one last time. The gray material was thin but strong. It would clean his air and keep his body temperature stable. If it didn't break, he had enough oxygen for 3 days. After that, he would need to find a way to make more. The pod crashed into the ground with a loud bang. Do-hyun waited until the dust settled, then pressed the door release. It opened with a hiss of escaping air. The world outside was both beautiful and terrible. The ground was covered in sharp, blue crystals that grew like grass. The sky was dark purple, with 2 suns shining through the clouds. In the distance, tall crystal mountains reached up like giant teeth. Do-hyun stepped out carefully. His boots crunched on the crystal grass. The air around him shimmered with heat. According to his suit's readings, the outside air would kill him in seconds if he breathed it. He took out his supply pack. Some food bars, a water recycler, basic tools, and a small computer for taking notes. The council hadn't given him any weapons. They'd probably thought he wouldn't live long enough to use one. A loud screech made him look up. Flying creatures with long, thin wings circled overhead. They had no feathers, just stretched skin like bats. One of them dove toward him. Do-hyun ran. The crystal grass cut at his suit, but the material held. He found a gap between 2 large crystals and squeezed into it. The flying creature crashed into the crystals, then flew away screaming. Note to self. Do-hyun said as he typed into his computer, local wildlife is not friendly. He spent the next few hours walking carefully through the crystal field. His suit's temperature controls worked hard as the 2 suns beat down. He needed to find shelter before night came. The computer had warned him that temperatures would drop below freezing after dark. In the distance, he saw a dark opening in one of the crystal mountains. A cave would make good shelter. But as he walked toward it, he saw something that made him stop. Bones, lots of bones. Some looked like they came from creatures with too many legs. Others might have been from beings that once walked on 2 legs, like him. They were scattered around the cave entrance like warnings. The ground shook. At first, Do-hyun thought it was an earthquake. Then he saw the crystals moving. Something big was moving underground, breaking through the crystal grass like it was nothing. Whatever it was heading straight for him. Do-hyun looked around quickly. The cave was too far. The crystal grass wasn't thick enough to hide in. The only cover was a group of large crystal formations about 50 meters away. The ground erupted behind him as he ran. He heard something massive break through the surface. The crystals around him shook. He didn't look back. Looking back would only slow him down. He reached the crystal formation and pressed himself against it. His heart was beating so fast, he thought it might burst. Slowly, carefully, he turned his head to look. What he saw made his blood freeze. The beast was even more terrifying than the stories said. And now it was staring right at him. Well, Do-hyun whispered to himself, I guess this is why they call it a death world. The beast took a step forward, and the real test of survival began. Do-hyun stood very still as the beast studied him. Now he could see it clearly. It was huge, about the size of a small bus. Its 6 legs were thick and powerful, each ending in claws that could easily cut through the crystal grass. Its skin kept changing colors, matching the crystals around it. 2 rows of eyes ran along its head, all of them fixed on Do-hyun. But something was strange. The beast wasn't attacking. It was just watching. Do-hyun remembered his grandfather's words. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is show fear. His grandfather had been a wildlife researcher in Korea's mountains. He had studied tigers and lived to tell about it. Slowly, very slowly, Do-hyun stepped away from the crystal formation. The beast's head tilted to one side, like a curious dog. You're not what I expected. Du-hyun said quietly. His suit's speakers made his voice sound strange in the toxic air. Everyone says you're just a monster, but you're not, are you? The beast made a low rumbling sound. It wasn't a growl. It was more like a purr. Then something even stranger happened. Du-hyun felt a light touch in his mind, like a gentle tap on his shoulder. Are you trying to talk to me? Du-hyun asked, amazed. The feeling came again, stronger this time. Images flashed through Du-hyun's mind. The crystal mountains, underground caves, other creatures running away in fear. The beast was showing him its home. Du-hyun laughed softly. You're telepathic. No wonder you survived here. You're not just strong. You're smart. The beast took a step forward. Du-hyun held his ground. Another image appeared in his mind. Other aliens in strange suits, like his. They had run away. They had tried to fight. They had died. I'm not running, Du-hyun said. And I don't want to fight. I just want to survive. The beast came closer. Its skin changed color again, matching the purple sky. Up close, Du-hyun could see scars on its body. This creature had fought many battles. More images filled Du-hyun's mind. The Galactic Council's ships dropping other beings onto this planet. The beast had seen many sacrifices. It had watched them all fail. They sent you here too, didn't they? Du-hyun asked. Just like me. They were afraid of you. The beast made the purring sound again. Then it lowered its massive head until it was at Du-hyun's level. Carefully, Du-hyun reached out his hand. The beast didn't move away. My grandfather's name was Han, Du-hyun said as he touched the beast's rough skin. He always said that respect was the key to understanding wild creatures. I think I'll call you Han, if that's okay with you. The beast, now Han, sent him an image of a warm cave, safe from the deadly weather. Night was coming, and the temperature was already dropping. Leading the way to shelter, Du-hyun smiled. Thank you, Han. As they walked together through the crystal fields, Du-hyun thought about the council. They had sent him here to die. Instead, he had made first contact with an intelligent species. Han wasn't a mindless beast. It was a survivor, just like him. The two suns were setting, turning the purple sky dark red. Du-hyun followed Han toward the mountains, knowing that everything had changed. He wasn't alone anymore. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to help him survive this death world. Wait until the council sees this, he muttered, grinning inside his helmet as Han led him to safety. The cave Han led Du-hyun to was deep inside the crystal mountain. The walls glowed with a soft blue light, making it easy to see. The temperature here was steady, neither too hot nor too cold. It was perfect. Du-hyun sat down on a smooth crystal formation and checked his suit. The crystal grass had made some small cuts in it, but nothing serious. He still had most of his supplies, and his oxygen levels were good. Han lay down nearby. Its massive body curled in a way that reminded Du-hyun of a cat. The beast's skin now matched the blue glow of the cave walls. So, Du-hyun said, "Can you show me more about this place?" Images began flowing into his mind. He saw Han hunting the flying creatures they had seen earlier. He watched how Han could dig through the crystal ground like it was soft dirt. He learned about the dangerous storms that sometimes turned the air into poison fire. But then Han showed him something unexpected. Other beasts like itself, from long ago. They had lived on a different world, a beautiful place with 3 moons. But the council had feared them because they could read minds. They had been captured and dropped on NK 989 to die. You're the last one, Du-hyun said softly. The only survivor. Han made a sad rumbling sound. More images came, years of loneliness, watching other aliens die, learning to survive in this harsh world. Du-hyun pulled out one of his food bars and began eating through his suit's feeding tube. My grandfather studied lonely animals, he said. Tigers that had lost their families. He said they were the most dangerous because they had nothing left to lose. Han's eyes blinked in sequence, creating a wave-like effect. A new image appeared in Du Hyun's mind. Himself, walking through the crystal fields. But he was seen through Han's eyes. He looked small but unafraid, different from the others who had come before. "You want to learn about me too?" Du Hyun asked. He closed his eyes and focused on his memories. Earth's blue skies and green forests, the busy streets of Seoul, his family's small apartment, his grandfather teaching him about animals. He thought about the stars and how humans had dreamed of reaching them. Han moved closer, clearly interested. Du Hyun felt questions forming in his mind, not with words, but with feelings. How did humans live? Why did they look up at the stars? What made them different? "We're survivors too," Du Hyun explained. "On Earth, we weren't the strongest or fastest animals. But we learned. We adapted. We never gave up." Suddenly, Han's head snapped up. Through their mental connection, Du Hyun felt danger approaching. A storm was coming, and something else. Hunters. The flying creatures were returning, and they were hungry. Han stood up and nudged Du Hyun with its head. More images flowed, ways to fight, how to use the crystals for protection, places to hide. The beast was teaching him how to survive. "Thank you," Du Hyun said, standing up. "You know, the council thought sending me here was a death sentence, but they actually gave me the best teacher in the galaxy." Han's skin rippled with changing colors, and Du Hyun felt something new in their mental connection. Happiness. As they prepared to face the coming danger together, Du Hyun realized that he had found more than just a way to survive. He had found a friend. The cave echoed with the distant screeches of the flying hunters. It was time for his first lesson in surviving NK-989, and Du Hyun was ready to learn. 2 weeks had passed since Du Hyun met Han. They were resting in their cave after hunting when Han shared something unexpected. The beast showed Du Hyun a memory. A meeting room filled with council members from long ago. They were discussing Han's species, calling them dangerous because they could read thoughts. "Show me more," Du Hyun said, sitting up straighter. The memories came faster now. The council had feared Han's people because they could not lie to them. The council had secrets they wanted to keep hidden. So they labeled Han's entire species as a threat. Meanwhile, on the space station above Earth, Commander Sun Mei Kim was worried. She had not heard from Du Hyun since his departure. She sat at her desk, looking through old council records that Earth had been given. "Something isn't right," she said to herself. She had found a pattern. Every time a new species developed too quickly or showed unusual abilities, the council demanded a sacrifice to planet NK-989. Sun Mei called in her friend, Jae-won Park, who worked with alien diplomats. Ji-won was tall and quiet, but very smart. "Look at this," Sun Mei said, showing her the records. 15 different species in the last 100 years, all sent to NK-989. None returned. Jae-won studied the records carefully, and each species had something special, something that might have threatened the council's power. Back on NK-989, Han was teaching Du Hyun how to survive a poison storm. They sheltered in a deep cave as purple lightning flashed outside. Through their mental link, Han shared more memories of the council's betrayal. "So that's why Earth was chosen," Du Hyun said as understanding hit him. "We developed space travel too quickly. The council was afraid we would become too powerful." Han showed him images of other sacrifices, beings with amazing technology, others with special powers, all sent here to die. But the council had made a mistake this time. They had sent a human to the one creature who could reveal their secrets. Du Hyun pulled out his computer and began writing everything down. The council had turned NK-989 into a prison for species they feared. They pretended it was a test of worth, but it was really a death sentence. On the space station, Sun Mei and Jae-won found more evidence. They discovered hidden files about Han species and others who had disappeared. The council had erased these species from their records, pretending they had never existed. "We have to help Do-hyun," Sun Mi said. "If he's still alive, he might find proof of what the council has done." Jae-won nodded. "I can talk to other diplomats who don't trust the council. Many of them have lost contact with their own people over the years." In the cave on NK 989, Do-hyun felt Han's sadness through their mental link. The beast had been alone for so long, carrying these terrible secrets. "We're going to expose the truth," Do-hyun promised, placing his hand on Han's rough skin. "But first, we need to find a way off this planet. Can you show me everything you know about the council's ships?" Han's eyes lit up with understanding. More memories flowed. Ships landing, secret monitoring stations, hidden technology left behind by previous sacrifices. Together, they began planning their escape. The storm outside grew stronger, but Do-hyun wasn't afraid anymore. He had found more than just the truth. He had found a partner who could help him reveal it to the galaxy. 1 month had passed since Do-hyun discovered the truth about the council. He and Han spent their days exploring the planet's dangerous surface, searching for anything left behind by previous sacrifices. Their mental connection had grown stronger, allowing them to share thoughts and feelings easily. In an underground crystal cave, Do-hyun examined a piece of alien technology they had found. It looked like a small metal box with strange symbols. "This must be from one of the advanced species the council sent here," he said, carefully turning it over in his hands. Han sent him an image of similar devices being used by previous sacrifices. Some had tried to send messages into space. Others had attempted to build weapons. None had succeeded, but they had left their technology scattered across NK 989. On the space station, Sun Mi Kim and Ji-won Park made progress in their investigation. Ji-won had found other diplomats whose species had lost members to NK 989. They met in secret, sharing information and evidence. "Look at this," Sun Mi said, showing Jae-won a data file. "The council always sends monitoring satellites to watch NK 989. They want to make sure no one escapes." Jae-won studied the file carefully. "These satellites have communication systems. If Do-hyun could reach one, he could send a message to us," Sun Mi finished. "But first, he needs to survive long enough to find a way." Back on NK 989, Do-hyun and Han had collected many pieces of alien technology. They stored everything in their cave, which had become their home. Do-hyun's survival suit was scratched and patched, but still working. He had learned to repair it using materials from the planet. "The council thinks this planet will kill us," Do-hyun said as he worked on combining different alien devices. "But they didn't expect us to work together. Every species they sent here had special skills. If we can combine their technology." Han showed him memories of the council's ships landing and taking off. The beast had watched them for years, learning their patterns. Now this knowledge could help them escape. Through their mental link, they made plans. Han could dig tunnels to help them reach places without being seen. Do-hyun could use the alien technology to create devices they needed. Together, they were stronger than any single survivor had been before. One day, while searching a deep canyon, they found something important: a crashed satellite. It was old and broken, but many parts were still good. Do-hyun felt Han's excitement through their bond. "This is perfect," Do-hyun said, examining the satellite's communication system. "We can use this to contact the council's current satellites, and with your telepathic powers, we might be able to control them." They spent days practicing. Han learned to extend its mental powers through the alien technology. Do-hyun fixed and combined different devices. Sometimes they failed. Sometimes their attempts caused explosions. But they never gave up. "My grandfather used to say that patience is as important as strength," Do-hyun told Han as they rested after another practice session. "The council has waited a month for news of my death. They can wait a little longer while we get everything right." Han agreed, sending him an image of the council's faces when they would see them return together. The image made both of them feel happy. Their time for hiding and surviving was almost over. Soon, it would be time to show the galaxy the truth. The day of their escape began, with both suns rising over NK 989's Crystal Mountains. Do-hyun checked their modified communication device one last time. Han stood nearby, its skin shifting between colors as it prepared for their most important task. "Remember the plan," Do-hyun said, connecting the device to his suit's power system. "We only have one chance at this." Through their mental link, Han sent feelings of confidence. They had practiced this many times. The beast would use its telepathic powers through the modified technology to take control of the Council's monitoring satellite. High above the planet, the satellite floated in space, watching for any signs of life. Its systems were supposed to be secure, but they had never been tested against a telepathic creature using alien technology. On the space station, Sunmai was in a meeting with council members when her computer screen started flashing. "Something's happening on NK 989, one of the council assistants announced. The main screen showed the monitoring satellite's view. Everyone watched as it began moving in an unexpected way, turning and descending toward the planet's surface. "Impossible," High Counselor X417 said, standing up. "No one can control our satellites." But someone was. On the planet's surface, Han focused its mental powers through Do-hyun's device. The beast's eyes glowed as it reached out to the satellite, guiding it down through the purple clouds. Do-hyun felt Han strain through their connection. "You're doing great," he encouraged. "Just a little longer." The satellite landed near them, its systems still running. Do-hyun worked quickly, connecting their devices to its controls. Years of watching council ships had taught Han exactly how they worked. "Now for part 2, Do-hyun said. He climbed onto Han's back, holding tight to the special harness they had made from salvaged materials. The satellite's engines were strong enough to lift them all. In the council chamber, chaos broke out as the main screen showed something rising from NK 989's surface. The satellite was returning, but it wasn't alone. "Security breach," someone shouted. "Unknown objects approaching the station." Sunma smiled secretly. She had been waiting for this moment. Next to her, Ju-won was already sending messages to their allies among the diplomats. The station's docking bay doors opened automatically as the satellite approached. Security forces ran to stop it, but they were too late. The satellite landed smoothly, and the chamber fell silent as its passengers emerged. Do-hyun stepped out first, his patched survival suit covered in crystal dust. Behind him came Han, its massive form barely fitting through the door. The beast's skin shifted colors in the station's lights, creating beautiful patterns. "Impossible," X417 whispered. "The human lives, and he controls the beast." "The beast's name is Han," Do-hyun announced, his voice carrying through the silent chamber. "And we've come to tell the truth about planet NK 989. Han's eyes glowed as it shared images with everyone in the room. The council members saw the truth they had tried to hide. The murdered species, the abandoned survivors, the years of lies. "This ends today," Do-hyun said firmly. Around the chamber, other diplomats stood up, ready to support them. The council's great secret was finally exposed. The council chamber remained silent after Han shared the truth. High Counselor X417 sat heavily in his chair, knowing their secrets were finally exposed. But Do-hyun wasn't finished yet. "We could demand revenge," Do-hyun said, standing tall beside Han. "You tried to kill us both. You've killed many others. But that's not why we came back." Sunmei stepped forward, holding a data device. "We have contacted the families of other species who were sent to NK 989, she announced. "Many of them are here today." Different aliens stood up around the chamber. Some looked angry, others sad. All of them wanted justice for their lost people. The council's job was to unite species, not destroy them. Ji-won added, her voice firm. "It's time for change." Han sent out gentle waves of calm through its telepathic powers. The beast showed everyone images of hope, different species working together, sharing their strengths, helping each other grow. Han's species could have helped us understand each other better, Du-hyun explained. Instead, you feared their powers and tried to destroy them. You did the same to others who could have made the galaxy better. X-417 looked at the other council members. Many of them nodded, accepting that their old ways had to end. What do you want? X-417 asked quietly. A new council, Du-hyun answered. One that includes representatives from all species. One that helps worlds grow instead of holding them back. And most importantly, one that never uses NK-989 as a prison again. Sunlight presented their plan. Earth would join the council, but not alone. Other species would join too, including some they had thought were lost forever. Han would help them find any survivors still living on NK-989. Humans have a special gift, Du-hyun said, touching Han's rough skin. We can adapt. We can learn from others. We can turn enemies into friends. Let us help build a better galaxy. The council members talked for many hours. In the end, they voted to accept the changes. The old council would step down. A new group would take their place, led by those who believed in working together. 1 week later, Du-hyun stood at the same window where his journey had begun. Earth still looked beautiful from space, but now he saw it differently. He knew there were other worlds out there, filled with beings who could become friends. Han stood beside him, its skin reflecting the stars. Through their mental link, they shared feelings of happiness and hope. They had changed the galaxy forever. Ready to go home? Sunma asked, joining them at the window. Home is a big word now, Du-hyun smiled. We had a lot of worlds to visit, a lot of species to help. Right, Han? The beast purred in agreement. Together, they had survived the council's trap. Together, they would help build something new and better. As Earth's sun rose over the planet below, Du-hyun thought about his grandfather's words one last time. The greatest strength isn't in surviving alone, but in helping others survive with you. The story of the human and the beast would be told across the galaxy for many years. It wasn't just a story about survival anymore. It was a story about change, hope, and the power of unexpected friendship.